Do you ever play a game and ask yourself, what the hell am I reading, while also absolutely loving it? Well, here's my quick review of Parasite Eve. Developed and published by Square in 1998, Parasite Eve follows a New York City police officer, Aya, as she gets pulled into events involving self-combustion, people and animals turning into monsters, and an ancient parasite, once dormant in all human beings, now sets out to take control over the world. At first glance, the game might seem like a Resident Evil or Dino Crisis clone, especially considering the aesthetics, which also feature pre-rendered locations and a static point of view. But the similarities stop as soon as you encounter your first enemies. Here, things get very interesting. First of all, the game locks you into a sort of arena where the edges of the screen define the available space. In there, you have to actively move around to try and avoid enemy projectiles while you wait for your action bar to fill up. Once it does, another stark difference becomes apparent. Not only you have an option to just fire your gun, but you also can use Aya's abilities, which are not unlike spells you would usually find in many RPGs. And here's the fun part, this comparison is not accidental. After each battle, you also earn experience points, unlock new powers, and spend level up points on Aya's attributes. Indeed, Parasite Eve has more in common with typical action RPGs than survival horror games. The battle system even reminds me of Undertale with its bullet dodging mechanics. Although, let me be clear, there is still a lot of horror here. Grotesque, gruesome, occasionally even disturbing. This is definitely not a light-hearted story. That being said, it can also be a silly one, and not necessarily in a good way. Without spoiling anything, all I can say is that the plot goes into really creative directions, to a point where it might be hard not to laugh, yet the game treats it all with a straight face, which I have to admit is quite a refreshing take. Writers could very easily go the cliché way of having no one believe Aya to interject some interpersonal drama into the story between her and her co-workers, yet everyone is pretty much instantly on board with the ensuing insanity. So instead of you going against the world, it's you and the world versus the monsters attacking Manhattan. It's quite fun seeing people rooting for you, even if it's only story-wise, because when it comes to gameplay, it's mostly Aya doing everything alone. But I appreciate the sentiment though. Now, speaking of being alone, if I had to pick one flaw in the whole experience, it would probably have to be the extensive exploration sections, which for the most part revolve around the player running through lengthy stretches of similar looking locations, scouring for some triggers to progress the plot, while also fending off semi-random monster attacks. For example, early in the game you get a chance to visit Central Park, and I genuinely thought I broke in the game somehow, as I was running for 50 minutes straight through multiple locations without seeing or encountering anything noteworthy. On one hand, it's very easy to think you could be doing something better with your time. On the other, running through New York completely alone with no living being in sight is a very unique experience. All in all, however, Parasite Eve holds surprisingly well, even by today's standards. Maybe not graphically, of course, but the story and the setting are quite unique, and so is the battle system. And on top of it all, the difficulty seems well balanced and the game doesn't overstay its welcome, taking about 8 hours to finish. My final score, 8 out of 10. With a great mix of survival horror and RPG elements, Parasite Eve feels surprisingly modern. Lengthy exploration sections might be a bit boring, but the fun and unique battle system makes up for it. If you haven't already, give it a try, it's definitely worth it. Thank you for watching!